So, after going through all of 2020 and 2021 unscathed by the pandemic, despite working in COVID ICUs, other ICUs, 2022 rolled in and hit me like a freight train. It finally happened. I got the coronavirus. I've been home for the last week. Thankfully, I'm okay. I had a couple of really rough days, especially the nights. And now I'm finally feeling pretty good. So I got up and looked in the mirror and realized that I was like really pale and looking like death. So I decided to put on a little makeup, make myself look a little human and feel a little good. So I figured I'd film the video and make this little quarantine and chill tutorial. So if you're interested in watching, then please enjoy. The first thing I do is prime my eyes with the Urban Decay Primer Potion in the shade Eden. And I do use a BH Cosmetics brush number 7. It's like an angled packing brush, and I use that brush to blend out the primer. I bring it all the way up to my brow bone, pull it out pretty far into the inner corner, and bring it down to my lower lash line because I will pull eyeshadow into my lower lash line, and I just pack it in with my finger. The first brush I'm using is the Sigma Inner Corner Shader E46, and I'm using the Wondrous Escape palette by Wanda Beauty, which I got in BoxyCharm this month. One of the techniques I use is to highlight my brow bone and inner corner first, which is something that I started doing recently. I find that I'm able to blend my shadows easier that way as opposed to doing it last like some people do. And I do love my glow, so I do put a lot of highlighter below my brow bone and in my inner corner. In this video, I'm going to speed up a lot of the blending just because it gets tedious to watch all that blending. So I am going to bring the highlighter to my inner corner and then kind of pull it a little onto my lid, so when I do my lid color, it blends in a little nicer. And this brush is the Sigma E35. It is a fluffy blending brush, and I am going to use the Viseart. It's like a warm nude palette. Viseart is amazing eyeshadows. They're expensive, but they just have great color payoff, and they blend very easily. The first shade I'm using, there's no names. This is, I thought it was really like a beige, like a warm beige. It kind of looks yellow in the video, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, you start doing a makeup look and then you kind of just got to work with what you get. So it did come a little more yellow than I wanted, but I am trying to warm up my face a little bit since I've been sick. So I do pack the shade on, blend it towards the inner corner, and then diffuse it upward using windshield wiper motions as well as circular motions to blend upward. I start with a little bit of shadow and then keep building the color up until I get the desired consistency I want. So packing, windshield wiper, blending, packing, and repeating until I get the desired pigmentation that I want. It's always better to start with a little bit of color and build up. The next brush is the Sigma E25, which is also a blending brush, but it's a little flatter, and I'm going to be using this kind of burnt orange, this lighter burnt orange, but I'm going to focus it more into the crease, packing it into the crease, and then again blending back and forth in kind of windshield wiper motions, and also packing that a little bit into the outer V of the lid and blending that out. Again, similar to the first shade, just packing a little bit of color, blending it out, and then I'm going to start to build that color up until I reach the consistency that I'm looking for. So I'm going to speed up this blending, and I probably, on average, go back into the pan 2 to 3 times depending on how dark the color is and how dark I really want to make it. And then I go back in with the Sigma E35 and the original shade just on the edges of that burnt orange. just to help blend it out and diffuse any harsh lines. And again, bringing more of that burnt orange and building up the color to what I want it to be. And I do like my color, so I do like to build up my colors a little bit. And then I'm going back in with the same E25, but with that kind of darker burnt orange, which is kind of more like a red ochre. If anyone's used the Anastasia Beverly Hills, there's actually the Modern Renaissance palette has a shade called red ochre. This is very similar, and I'm just packing that onto the outer corner, the outer V of the lid, and then just blending it upward into the crease because I want that color to just be a little more focused onto the outer corner of the eye, and then smoke, start smoking out. I don't want to have the colors become muddy, so I just want to kind of focus them in one area and then blend them out. And this brush is the Sigma, it's a medium sweeper, the E54, and it's kind of a more dense brush, but you could still blend a little bit. And I'm using that medium to dark brown and just packing that directly into the outer corner of the eye. And I'm gonna be careful with that brown not to use too much at once because I don't want it to have no way to blend it and for it to become muddy. And probably the best advice I could give, a lot of people I talk to, they're like, my colors get lost in my hooded eye. I have a hooded eye. Don't be afraid to pack that color a little bit above your hood before you start blending it out. And you can see I go back in with the E25 and a little bit of that red ochre shade and start blending out the brown, and then going back in and packing more brown because I do want that brown to be a little darker and then kind of smoke it out. So there's a lot of repetition, a lot of back and forth. This is a time-consuming process, and it is not for everybody, but if you like to do makeup and you want to do something fun, then this is how you do it. And then now for the lid, I'm going back into that Wondrous palette, and I'm using the shade Daydream, which is kind of a goldish shimmer. Some people use a packing brush and spray it with setting spray. I like to just use my finger. I find that I get the best color payoff with shimmers using my finger. And again, hooded eyes, I do pull that shimmer above my crease so that you can see it when my eyes are open. And then I'm going back in with that darker red ochre and the E25 just to blend the brown into that shimmer and get a nicer seamless transition. And going back and forth, blending those colors together until it's the consistency that I'm looking for. Now I'm doing my eyeliner off camera, but this is the brush that I use to do gel eyeliner. It's the Sigma E06 wing liner, and I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills gel eyeliner in black. And it is a very tiny, precise brush, which is why I really like it. It's very thin. And just to give you an idea of how I do it, but I do need to get really close to the mirror, so I'm going to do the rest off of camera. And now for my lower lash line, I'm using this Precision Firm Blender by Sigma. The number is E42, and I'm just smoking that lighter burnt orange shade underneath my lash line. And then once I build up the consistency to what I want, I'm going to go back in with my favorite brush, which is the E27 by Sigma. It's a detailed blending brush. So it's kind of like the E25, just smaller. And I'm going to take some of that yellowish beige and just blend out that burnt orange below the... And I like to pull my lower lash line pretty low. Then I'm going to go in with this smudge brush. It is everything Sigma. I'm obsessed with Sigma. These brushes are kind of expensive, but I'm a little bougie. This is the E21, and I'm mixing that darker burnt orange with the brown and just running it along close to the lash line. But actually, I'm going to go back in with that brown because it didn't come out as kind of dark as I wanted it to be. And, you know, keeping it close to the lash line, but then kind of smudging it out. And then I'm going to blend it out again with that precision blender, the E42, and a little bit of the burnt orange to just blend that color out and smoke it out a little bit. And if you notice, I do keep the darker colors closer to the outer corner. Then I'm going to line my waterline with the Sephora Coconut Waterproof Eyeliner. I do like to put a nude eyeliner in my waterline just to open my eyes a little more. And I did my mascara off camera and curl my lashes, but I am going to place my falsies on, and as you can see, I stick it in the middle of my eye first after measuring where exactly I want it to go, and I use my tweezer to kind of pat down the outer corner and inner corner. I didn't speed this up on camera because I wanted you guys to see just how easy it is for me to do it now. So I think it took me like 1 minute and 10 seconds to actually get the lash on, and that was after applying 2 layers of lash glue. I used the Kiss lash adhesive, which cost $5. It's honestly great. I would never buy anything more expensive because this just works great. And I put 2 layers of glue, let them dry for at least 2 minutes in between, and then I just find, you know, once it gets nice and tacky, they just stick on right away. And so this whole process of actually applying and patting down literally took me 1 minute and 10 seconds. And I know a lot of people have complained about having trouble with lashes. I'm going to prime my face with the Benefit Porefessional, which is supposed to blur your pores. I honestly don't really have a particular face primer that I'm in love with, but this works fine. I put it on, let it sit for about 10 minutes so that it oozes into the pores, and then I use the Smashbox Studio Skin 15-hour wear hydrating foundation. Normally I use 1 pump, but I'm going to use a little more because I've been sick and I'm a little pale. And my hands are washed. I do use my finger to dab it on. Some people use a beauty blender, but I find that it soaks up too much of the product. So I'm going to dab that onto my face. Don't mind me, I still got a little bit of this cough. And then I do use a flat kabuki brush. This is the Sigma F80. But similar to the beauty blender, I still use dabbing motions to blend it in as opposed to just dragging it all over my face. And I feel like this helps it absorb into the skin better rather than just pulling it off my face. And then also pulling it a little bit below my chin into my neck so that, you know, you don't have like 2 different colors. And I use, for concealer, the Dose of Colors concealer, Meet Your Hue. And I do have some blemishes only because I am a picker. Former burn nurse, I'm always picking at pimples, whatever, and then I pay the price. So I'm just going to use, I don't use a lot of concealer or foundation. I just use it really to conceal under my eyes and to clean up. You'll see it in my outer corner. The eyeshadow's a little low, so I'm going to use the concealer just to kind of clean it up. And I do use a dampen beauty blender to blend in my concealer. And just a little bit on the tip of my nose just to help highlight. And then I'm going to use this BH Cosmetics. I don't know what number this is. It's a concealer brush. And I do use the beauty blender, but then I go in with the concealer brush just to clean up the edges of the eyeshadow so that the eyeshadow kind of goes along with my lower lash line and give it that more cat eye effect. And then I'll go in one more time with my beauty blender and kabuki brush just to blend the concealer and the foundation and make sure everything's blended together nicely. A lot of blending. And now I'm gonna set my under eyes with the Laura Mercier translucent powder and the Sigma large powder brush F30. I don't use a lot of powder, especially in the winter when most people tend to be drier. But also now that I'm getting older, I really don't need a lot of powder. I don't have overly oily skin. So just under my eyes, I don't set anywhere else. And I'm going to use this BH Cosmetics brush. It's number 5. And I'm going to use that and the Benefit Hoola bronzer to bronze and contour. I really just use bronzer to lightly contour. And as you can see, I mostly use patting motions to contour as opposed to just running a line along my face, because I find that using this technique makes it look a little more natural and less like you just drew a line on your face. And again, as with my eyeshadow, using a little bit of product so that I can build it up and not just get stuck with a whole bunch of product that I didn't want to have on my face. And then I'll lightly bronze and contour along my jawline just to give myself a little bit of color. Also bronzing along my hairline. And again, I've been sick, very pale. I am adding probably a little more bronzer than I normally would, just because I want to warm my face up a little more. And building up a little bit of that cheek contour. I contour my nose a little bit, but I don't go overly crazy, and I did use the Sigma F64 Soft Blend Concealer to contour my nose. Now I'm going to use the Sigma F40, which is a large angle contour brush, to put my blush. And I'm using the MAC blush in the shade Gingerly. And I'm going to focus that on the apples of my cheek, and then just blending it into that bronzer just to have everything blended together nicely. And this is a nice warm blush that it goes just really nicely with this look. Now, my favorite part, which is highlighter, I'm using the Sigma tapered highlighter brush number F35, and my favorite highlighter, which is the Ofra it's an Ofra highlighter. It's Ofra Nikki Tutorials Glow Goals. It's kind of like a rose gold highlighter, and I use my finger just to highlight the bridge of my nose and the tip of my nose lightly to give it a little bit of a glow. And then I'm going to use that Sigma brush to highlight the other high points of my face. And again, you'll notice as with a lot of my other face application, my technique is to use tapping motions, because I don't want to, you don't want to draw lines on your face. So I just tap that highlighter in to highlight my cheekbones, a little bit onto my forehead, and using light tapping motions so that I can build it up and not just have a whole giant deposit of color accidentally that then you're stuck with and have nowhere to put it. And just highlighting a little bit of my brow bone and my Cupid's bow. I used to go OD with the highlighter, but I've gotten better. And then I'm going to use the MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to use that. I don't really use it to set. What I use it for more is to hydrate. It kind of helps all those powders and liquid foundation just blend together and kind of like meld together nicely. And then I'm lining my lips with whatever this is. I don't even know. I got it in BoxyCharm. It's brown. Who the hell cares about lip liner? A lip liner is a lip liner. So I'm going to line my lips. And then I'm using this MAC lipstick Bad and Bare satin lipstick. It's a nice brown. It goes nice with these warm colors. And then I'm just going to use this Hoola lip gloss, brown lip gloss. You know, I've been really dry from being sick and dehydrated. So I didn't want to wear a liquid lipstick, which is also drying. And then finally, the Benefit Professional Super Setting Spray to set everything. And this is really what will set your makeup. It will not budge. I've worn makeup for like 16 hours. It doesn't budge. And I'm going to fan that out. Fan. And that's it. And that's the final look. I hope that you all enjoyed this video and maybe learned a little something. I'm by no means a professional at makeup or making videos, but I did enjoy creating this look, and I hope everyone's staying well. And that's it. Thank you for watching.